I got Umineko Project, and I'm playing it. And I'm not gonna face any more ads. I got the actual game itself. Look at this shit. Look at this shit. This background, I didn't know it started with this background, dude. This shit sounds, I am so fucking excited. I got the configurations, the official site. I got exit. I can exit the game. Start. I read through everything up until where I left off. So let's so yeah. Oh, what the hell? Okay, Alchemist Presents? Okay, I'm not gonna watch that right now. I guess that starts up if you take too long. One thing I want to say real quick, I'm going to, now that I have this, I'm not gonna watch those videos anymore. Obviously, I'm just gonna play this. That's number one. Number two, I am now going to, I'm gonna buy Umineko on Steam. I'm gonna buy it either right after this, during this, or during the next episode. This episode or next episode. Okay, again, this or next episode, I'm gonna buy that shit, and let's just go ahead. Dude, what is it? Is it school? I'm back in school? Episode 1. That shit is badass. Also, this, I have no idea what this is. You may perform witchcraft to jump forward in time. And we see some beautiful ass butterflies. This like spiral, rasen, spiral, cast the spell. I don't know what this is gonna do, but oh shit. The 4 of us cousins were shooting the breeze over all kinds of topics. This is where I left off, right? After all, there was both girls and guys here. Plus, we've got people over a wide spread of ages, adult, high school, and elementary school. All each of us had to do. Is that proper English? Maybe I'm just retarded. All each of us had to do was talk about ourselves, and it would be of great interest to the other 3.
なんかやっと馴染んできたぜ。ジェシカもマリアも6年前からは想像もつかないくらい成長しちまったからよ。正直なところ少しだけ違和感を持ってたんだが、こうして話をしているうちに中身はあの頃から何も変わってないことが分かったぜ。
Okay, this is where we left off. Good.
同じ言葉を返してやるよ。バトラだって6年ぶりだってのに全然変わってねえぜ。図体がいくらでかくなっても中身は相変わらずお子様だってことだな。
Yeah, to all my 5'11s out there, we big as shit. You see her? She said we're gigantic.
マリアもお子様。
マリアだっていつまでもお子様じゃねえぞ。お子様から可愛いお姫様に成長していくんだからな。そうしたらまな板みてえな群れもすぐジェシカ並みになるぞ。そしたら回してくれよ。
Oh my god, Battler, you perverted son of a bitch. What? No. Oh, Maria. You promised that?
ダメだよマリアちゃん。
You don't want to say.
そんな
No.
約束しちゃダメダメダメ。
Oh my god, a lot of incest going on.
約束したから揉ませる。マリア、約束は守る。絶対守る。
Well,
マリア、
she keeps her word.
お前本当に素直ないい子だな。お前と結婚する未来の旦那さんはきっと幸せ者だぜ。
っていい話にすり替えつつ約束を保持してんじゃねえぜ。
Wait, oh my god.
マリア、その約束はなし。なし。約束取り消し。
Yes, it is very canceled.
やっぱり
Unless you go
バトラ
to
君も揃って4人で集まらないといとこが集合した気がしなかったね。この6年はやっぱり寂しかったよ。
そうだな。こういうふざけた話にはならなかったな。でも建設的な話はできてたと思ったぜ。 将来に対する心構えとか受験とか就職とかよ。
へっへー、悪うございましたね。俺が来たらおまぬけなドタバタばっかりでよ。
でもマリアは今年のが楽しい。
Man, all I know about this game is that it's like there's like some sort of like quote unquote killing game. I don't know what that means. It's a lot about mystery, I guess. I don't know what the hell.
そうだね。僕も同感。今年が一番楽しいよ。
Maria's sincere words probably spoke for everyone. When George Aniki stroked Maria's head, she giggled like a happy kitten. Now I can read this shit without needing to pause. Oh, what the hell was that?
失礼いたします。
Oh, Shannon?
お食事のご用意ができました。
A timid knocking sound and an equally timid young woman's voice came through the door. Jessica answered brightly.
シャノン、入れよ。バトラは覚えてるだろ。
Jessica stood up from the bed and opened the door. Wait a minute. She stood up from the bed. Wait, maybe I'm reading. Hold on, I think I'm going stupid as hell. There stood a servant girl who was definitely about our age.
ご無沙汰いたしております。バトラ様。6年ぶりでございます。シャノンです。
Noting my presence and trembling a little, she bowed deeply. I already know what he's gonna talk about. There's two big reasons he's gonna start talking
ジェ
right
シカにも驚かされたが、シャノンちゃんにも驚かされたぜ。
now. Yo, this motherfucker battler is a perv. Yo, he's like Denji before
あ
Denji.
んたもすっかり美人になったじゃねえのよ。
もったいないお言葉、強烈に存じます。
しかしよ、この島じゃよっぽど食事の栄養価が高いんじゃねえのか。
Oh my god.
何を食ってどこを鍛えたらそんなにでっかいお胸になるんだか。ジェシカとどっちがでけえかちょいと触って確かめさせてもらうぜ。
Jesus, look at his face. Man. With both hands poised and saliva dribbling from my mouth like a dog, I closed in. For the sake of my honor and justice, I'd like to point out that I don't suffer from some strange disease that makes my lymph nodes itch until I scratch my neck open, and which can only be prevented by rubbing breasts. It's just my battler style way of communicating. Oh, just grabbing them like that? When a boy closes in on a girl like this, 9 times out of 10, they get slapped or clobbered, right? Don't tell me she just let it happen. This is a Battler Sama original communication technique. Aiming for a gag like that to break the ice. Oh, okay. Well, it makes sense now. Well, that means I really do get to touch them on that 1 in 10 chance though, right? Let me try it. Something like that. I'd never ask for that much, though. Oh my god, zoomed in right to him? By now, my hands were less than a centimeter away from Shannon's Chan's chest. But the counter-strike had yet to come. Oh, you know what? No, don't give it to him. No, Jessica, come in. Slap the shit out of him. She understood what was going on, and she was blushing and had her head lowered in embarrassment. Well, the poor girl is a little meek. But she was just standing there with both hands politely joined in front of her. Oh yeah, down there, not even trying to resist or cover her breast. Well, whoa, I wasn't planning on this. Please hit me right now. At this rate, I'm seriously gonna touch them. There we go. Which is why I was glad that Jessica chose that time to dive her elbow into the back of my head. God.
ジェシカ、ありがとうよ。
なんで私が感謝されんだ？お？
いやいや、すまんぜシャノンちゃん。
Wait, hold on. Can I load? Oh, no. How can I like auto whatever the hell? Whatever.
魅力的な胸に思わず吸着されそうになっちまった。つうか、さすがにあの間合いまで来たら犯罪確定だろ。ダメだぜ、抵抗しなきゃよ。
ですけど、
Oh, maybe she likes it.
大切なお客様です。
Oh my god. Oh, this is hentai. This is hentai level shit
あ
right
の
here.
な、お客様でも犯罪は犯罪。
Yeah, come
女
on
の子の
now.
胸はだいたい10センチくらいからが防空識別圏だな。2センチ圏まで侵入してきたら、これはもう領空侵犯だぜ。スクランブル発進で即ビンタを食らわせてやれ。
そんなことできません。
Oh my god, Shannon. Well, you gotta get the testicles to do it.
そのカムですし。
Or the ovaries. No, what the hell? Don't think of yourself like that. Of course, she didn't want her breasts touched. But if a guest so desired, she intended to sacrifice her own needs in an effort to accommodate them. Well, she's a really giving girl. A girl like this needs some urgent protection. Right.
今時こんな献身美徳な子がいるとは。軽いめまいすら覚えるぜ。でもダメだ。
Even more reason to protect her.
ダメなんだ。俺がいやらしい顔で迫る。ハットハウス。いや、エッチ。そういうお約束じゃないとオチがつかねえんだよ。頼むよ、お願いでよ。俺を引っ叩いてくれよ。こう
Oh my god.
バチンとバチンと。
Bachito, I
お
think.
願いは聞けません。カムですから。でも命令ならお聞きします。それが務めですから。
Okay, it's an order. I order you to protect
じ
yourself.
ゃあ命令させてもらうことにするよ。次からバトラ君が胸に触ろうとしてきたら平手打ちで反撃すること。
And if this happens to anyone in real life, you can counterattack with a knife. A knife. There's this vein called the jugular vein. It runs through your neck. A gun, any like a little ass 22 that will get the job done. There's a pepper spray. You know, there's a variety of things you can use.
いいね。
はい。仰せつかりました。以後そのようにさせていただきます。バトラ様、ご承知おきくださいませ。
So Shannon-chan declared while bowing elegantly to me. Her facial expression was radiant. I gave her a thumbs up to signal you got it.
6年前はお手伝いさんの連れ子がついでにお手伝いみたいな印象だったんだけど、すっかり一人前の使用人さんだな。今年で何年になるんだ？
はい。おかげさまで10年ほどお仕えさせていただいております。
Oh wow, 10 years. She's Shannon. Obviously, one of them is Shannon, or both of them. The kanji for her name are read as Shannon. This is another far from typical name for a Japanese person. That's right. Being a kid back in those days, I had taken in her name without paying it much attention. But for her to be called something like that is pretty unusual, given that she isn't even a member of the Ushiromiya family. Alright. Maybe it's like a servant's professional name or something. A stage name. If so, I can kind of understand why the Kanon-kun's name sounded the way it does too. She's a long-term servant who served here since she was 6. What the fuck? They have child labor here? Well, this was 86, so maybe it was more acceptable. Since her body had changed radically. She didn't match my memories. but we used to know each other 6 years ago. It looked like she was just as shy as she had been in the past, but I got the sense that she had become imbued with a charm befitting a girl her age, especially her breasts. Her breasts.
さっき会ったカノン君は彼女の弟なんだよ。
弟というわけでは。でも私のことを姉と慕ってくれます。何か失礼なことはしませんでしたか？
相変わらずいつも通りだぜ。もうちょっと愛想よくすればいいのによ。もったいないやつ。
カノン君がご迷惑をおかけしたようで申し訳ございません。
別に迷惑なんか何も。同じ男としてわかるさ。ありゃ気難しい年頃だ。愛想が悪いのは当たり前だぜ。
マリアもよく言われる。愛想悪いって言われる。カノンと一緒。マリア様は愛想悪くなんかありません。一緒がよかった。
食事の準備ができたんだっけ？
はい、失礼いたしました。お食事のご用意が整いましたので、皆様をお屋敷へご案内いたします。
Oh, we're going to the mansion? Shannon bowed again formally and returned to her duty mode. We realized that if we made her stick around for any more light conversation, it would actually make it harder for her to do her job. So we got up off our butts to avoid interfering with her work any further.
じゃあお屋敷に行こうか。みんなもお腹が空いてたところでしょ。
だな。ゴーダさんがいる時の飯は楽しみなんだよ。あの人どこぞの有名ホテルでシェフをやってたらしくて、かなり料理の腕があるんだぜ。
Ah, yeah, so he was a chef at a famous hotel.
ほう
He
ほ
was a servant.
う。それ楽しみ。
No.
行こうぜマリア。ガツガツ犬みたいに食い散らかすぞ。
犬みたいに食い散らかす。
ダメダメ。バトラ君の言うことはいちいち真に受けちゃダメだよ。全部冗談なんだから。さあ行こう行こ
う。Under Shannon's guidance, we headed towards the mansion. So this is... Okay, we're going through the garden. Through here, again the garden. So this is the shit from the fucking, what the fuck was it? The title screen. So this is the mansion, bitch. Oh my god. Finally we're here. Met once again by the magnificent rose garden. We continued onward as it came into view. The imposing mansion of the Ushiromiya main family. It had apparently been built shortly after the war, so you could feel the dignity of almost a half-century hanging about it. After the war, are we talking about World War II? What other wars do I know that Japan's been a part of? I know there was the Russo-Japanese War. I don't know much about wars that Japan's been a part of. Only those two. On the surface, I only know the Russo-Japanese War because of Golden Kamuy too. On the surface, the building was gorgeous, but being as old as it was seemingly lacking in modern amenities like air conditioning. What? Really? Oh, you can't just get buy something off. Well, this was 80s. According to Jessica, midwinter was especially tough with all the drafts. What with all the drafts? Well, it's not like they couldn't just take the kotatsu out. The kotatsu? Should I look that up? Oh, what the? Oh, shit. As we entered the entrance hall, an aged servant greeted us. Oh, this guy from the prologue. Now him I remembered. As the most senior member of the staff, Genji-san served as the head of the servants.
バトラ様、 お久しゅうございます。
As our eyes met, he saluted us with a composed voice. He didn't give quite a refined... Wait, Jesus, something's off with me. I don't know what it is. He didn't give quite as refined a bow as Go does. Yeah, something is definitely off with me. I'm a little lightheaded. Let me take off my socks. Yes. Oh. But it was a bow that had feeling, even if it wasn't polished to the same degree.
源氏さん、本当にお久しぶりっす。お元気そうですね。
おかげさまで健やかに過ごさせていただいております。バトラ様こそご立派になられました。親方様の若き日に少し似てこられましたな。
俺がじい様にってことは、さぞやじい様は若い頃モテたろうな。
ここからはシャノンに代わって私がご案内申し上げます。どうぞこちらへ。
Shannon bowed deeply and saw us off. Leaving the entrance hall, we headed to the dining hall under Genji-san's guidance. Genji-san was just like Kumasawa-san, stood in stark contrast to us young people who had grown beyond recognition over the last 6 years. His figure was exactly the same as in my memories from 6 years ago. It seemed like time had stopped since the last we met. Genji was a silent and diligent person. He was like grandfather's close aide or caregiver. In fact, you could even go so far as to say he was grandfather's right-hand man. Actually, it seems that he was by grandfather's side more than my late grandmother was. According to Jessica, grandfather trusts him more than any of his blood relatives. But I wonder how long he served. I never asked for details, but I think I heard he's been here since the beginning, when this mansion was constructed. That is to say, he's dedicated half of his life to serving here. No wonder grandfather trusts him. Well, if he's dedicated all that time, then I think he must like it here. And must hold some sentimental feelings for this place. As we cut through the open ceilinged hall behind Genji-san, I found something I had no memory of from 6 years ago. I wonder what it's gonna be. Beatrice. I know this is Beatrice. That's all I know. Again, I only know her name. That's legit all I know. It was an awfully big portrait hung right in front of the stairs that rose to the second floor. That big? Without thinking, I stopped walking under its spell. Since I'd suddenly stopped, Maria, who was following behind me, ran into my back.
ああ、悪い。なあ、ジェシカ。あんな絵、前はあったっけ？
I pointed at the large and conspicuous... I was about to read that so perfectly, man. What's going on with me? Conspicuous portrait hanging in the hall. Everyone else stopped too.
ああ、そっか。バトラが来てた頃には、あれはかけられてなかったっけ？いつからだったかな。
確か僕の記憶が正しければ一昨年あたりだったと思うよ。
来年。
さようでございます。
The year before last, so like 2 years ago? You are correct, I think.
一昨年の4月に親方様がかねてより画家に命じて描かせていたものをあそこに展示なされたのでございます。
あのじい様がね、わざわざ描かせてか。
The portrait depicted a woman in an elegant dress who gave off a sense of refinement. It really does. And who seemed to suit the Western style of this mansion. Okay, so okay, so I'm assuming this Western style, Western shit it's probably a little bit more, it holds a little bit more meaning to the story than I think it does at this time. Because we're in Japan and they keep bringing up, oh, this Western style architecture, this Western style painting. What is it? What's up with that? And this takes place in 86. I couldn't have guessed her age, but the sharpness and obvious strength of will in her eyes gave me the impression of youth. It was a different feeling than the composed mood of middle-aged women that are often in famous pictures. If this woman had normal black hair, I might have thought it was a portrait of my long-deceased grandmother in her prime. However, the woman in the portrait had beautiful golden hair and didn't look Japanese at all.
んで誰だいこのご婦人はよ
As though trying to show off her knowledge, Maria answered that simple question with authority.
マリア知ってるベアトリーチェ
ベアなんだって
ベアトリーチェ
Why is her name in such a... like this... Oh damn bitch, the music picking... Why is her name in this font?
魔女だよ
The witch!
バトラ君は昔聞かされたことない
魔女ってこの島の
The fuck they talking about? I think I already said this, but Rokkenjima is a small island that's only about 10 kilometers around. However, considering that considering that only the Ushiromiya family lives here, that's quite large. So, only a harbor and the site around the mansion were set up to be lived in. Beyond that, the island remained as untouched as it was when it was still uninhabited. To understand just how dangerous a vast and empty forest with no lamplight, phones, or people passing through it at all actually is, you need to shift your urban assumptions a little. You see, if by any chance you fell down a hole in the depths of the forest and sprained your ankle, cry or scream, no one would come save you. Especially 10 kilometers away. If it then got dark, the forest, where there are no streetlights, would become enshrouded in complete darkness. Also, since there obviously aren't any guideposts here, it's easy to get lost and lose your sense of direction in the dark forest. Nowadays, most people see a forest as a peaceful place. But to the people of bygone eras, before the light of civilization drove out the night, forests were like oceans on land, geographically separating one culture from another. Just as fishermen who go out into the ocean occasionally have their lives put in danger despite their technical knowledge was also demanded of hunters who went out into the forest, and their lives were occasionally put in danger just the same. If a child were to go play in that dangerous forest, something terrible might happen. Some parent must have had that thought. Maybe my grandmother, or possibly the man himself, my grandfather, might have said it. Or maybe it was a story handed down on this island from long, long ago. There's a terrible witch in the forest, so you must not go in. Thus, Rokkenjima's ghost story was born. The legend. That is the legend of the witch of Rokkenjima. So, when we say witch on this island, we're referring to the master of the vast and savage forest. Which reminds me, when I was little and stayed at this mansion, during the eerie nights where the wind and rain struck the windows, stories like the witch of the forest is roaming around in search of a sacrifice would scare the heck out of me. Beatrice. As I searched my memory, prompted by Aniki, I did vaguely remember being told That was her name when I was very small.
なるほどな。しかし、あの魔女伝説の魔女にベアトリーチェなんておしゃれな名前がついてたとはとんと忘れてたぜ。
That is an elegant name.
じいさまめ、孫たちが信じないもんだからわざわざ絵に描きやがったか。
じいさまの妄想の中の魔女だよ。この絵を掲げた頃から現実と幻想の区別がつかなくなり始めた。私たちにとっては想像の中の魔女に過ぎないけど、じいさまにとっては彼女はこの島にいる存在。いる。だからそれを理解することができない私たちにもわかるようあの絵を描かせたって言うんだけど、気持ち悪いったらありゃしないぜ。
お嬢様、親方様にとっては大切な肖像画です。親方様の前でそのようにおっしゃられることがございませんよ。
分かってるぜ。
Oh god.
頼まれても言わねえよ。
Jessica turned away after glaring a second at the portrait.
行こうよ。食堂にみんなを待たせてるよ。
お腹すいた。
Only a small portion of this island is controlled by the Ushiromiya family. What? Oh, well, yeah. Because the mansion and uninhabited, that's, I was just, okay. If all of the wild remainder, okay, was the witch Beatrice's domain, then one could say that she was the being who actually ruled over Rokenjima. That unsettling, ominous feeling I had felt on the boat trip when I learned that the shrine had been struck by lightning revived within me a bit. At that time, Kumasawa-san had tried to tell an ominous story about Rokenjima, and it had been stopped by Jessica. So that's what... Yes, I do remember that. I didn't know what she had tried to tell us about this island. But there was one thing I did know. Rokenjima's ruler was not the Ushiromiya family. It was the witch Beatrice. So I'm guessing this bitch is gonna be a big so she's like an actual person, because we're gonna see her soon, aren't we? Yes, because this was the witch's island.
バトラー！遅い！
When I looked around, everyone was already heading towards the dining hall. I hurriedly chased after them. This looks pretty. We walked up to the huge double doors that led to the dining hall. Genji-san knocked.
お子様方をお連れいたしました。失礼いたします。
The door was opened and we were invited inside. Moonlit night. The dining hall, which screamed filthy rich, featured a super long table, which was obviously designed with no other purpose than to make the guests conscious of their rank. Ugh, I hate that. And our parents were already seated in accordance with that order.
遅えぞガキども。早く席につけよ。
The old bastard pressed us to sit. Only the places where we would sit. Something's up with my vision right now. Only the places where we would sit were empty at the long table, which only made us feel our tardiness all the more. The seat at the very head of the table, which you might call the seat of honor, was for the most highly ranked and reserved for grandfather. Yes, because grandfather, that's big boss right there. It was still empty. He was probably planning to come in last to make himself look important. So now I'm remembering in the prologue, grandfather, which was the guy who kept drinking some whatever the fuck, screaming about Beatrice, let me see you. You're invisible or whatever the fuck. He's on his deathbed, and I think he said that at the point of his death, he will... No, not him. I think the memory of him will be wiped from everybody's memories or something like that. Something insane. It was still empty. He was probably planning to come in last to make himself look important. Yes. Or he's just addicted to alcohol and he's, or taking medication. The seating order as you faced the seat of honor went from left to right in rows of 2, with the rankings being lower the further you were from it. So, on the left-hand side of the row, closest to the seat of honor, was the second-ranked seat, belonging to the eldest of the adults' siblings, Uncle Kraus. It looked like he hadn't arrived yet either, so that seat was empty. Oh, and then opposite him, on the right-hand side of the first row, sat the eldest daughter of the family, Auntie Ava, ranked at number 3. I have an aunt, her name is Ava too. The left-hand side of the second row was for number 4. There sat the old bastard, Rudolph, as the third of the siblings. Opposite him sat number 5, the youngest sibling, Aunt Rosa. Going like this, you might think that the next ones to come would be their husbands and wives, but guess again, because the left-hand seat in the following third row, meaning rank number 6, was actually Jessica's seat. Opposite her was George Aniki. Then the seat next to Jessica was me, and opposite me was Maria. And next to me, on the left-hand side of the 5th row, all the way down at number 10, finally came Aunt Natsuhi. Opposite her was Uncle Hideyoshi. And next to Aunt Natsuhi, in the 6th and final row on the left-hand side was Kirie-san. Because they are of no blood relation, right? That's why they're all the way down there. The seat opposite to Kirie-san had been laid out like the others, but was empty. According to this ranking system, that spot was the seat where Aunt Rosa's husband would be sitting. He hasn't come, as far as I know, yet the table had been laid out for his seat. These kind of ranking orders usually permit the spouse and corresponding status. But the Ushiromiya family had an original kind of ranking. Maybe it's a leftover of male chauvinism, under the notion that a mother's womb is only a temporary house for the child, and she contributes no genes. The children of direct descent would have the highest ranking, followed by the grandkids, meaning that the spouses with no blood ties would be considered the last in line. It's terrible. But according to that ranking order, grandmother, if she was still alive, would be in a position even lower than mine. In youth, obey your father. After marriage, your husband. After aging, your children. A leftover of the times when they used to say, woman, no home in 3 worlds. Oh my god, that sounds terrible. Long ago, when I was still incapable of figuring all this out, I'd thought it was so great that we could all chat with the adult siblings sitting in their group and us cousins in ours. Why am I reading like a little kid? However, now that I can re-examine the seating order after growing up a bit, it stirs up some very complicated feelings in me. Aunt Natsuki, married to the eldest son of the family, responsible for managing the household, and responsible for managing the household. And number two for all practical intents and purposes, sat to my right, which meant that she was 2 steps lower than me in the ranking order. It was difficult to guess what was going on through her head. That's why I made a small apologetic gesture before sitting down.
お久しぶりですね、バトラ君。
Maybe that's why she was so mean to the servants.
ずいぶん背が伸びましたね。
I did not mean to do that.
ああ、はい。食ったり食べたり食事したりしてたらいつの間にかこんな身長に。
さすが男の子ね。身長はいくつくらいあるの
？180かな。
About 187.
つうかおばさん、そこは食べてばっかりじゃねえかって突っ込んでくださいよ。
え？ああ。ごめんなさいね。
After a moment, she gave a small laugh, but it seemed she couldn't quite figure out what she was supposed to be laughing at. This woman is Aunt Natsuki. She's the wife. Hold on. Wait. She's the wife of the eldest son of the family, meaning she is my dad's older brother's wife. She's the wife of the eldest son of the family, right? Naturally. It is easier to get it if I call her Jessica's mother. Is it easier to get it if I call her Jessica's mother? Oh, sure. It feels bad to say it like this, but not that I hated her, but I didn't particularly like her. She never got into our kids' circle, and my only impression of her was as someone who's always talked about complicated stuff with my parents, while having a crabby expression on her face. The fact is that having barely ever exchanged words, I hesitated a lot, even just now, about how to approach her. And it was pretty much a flop. The silverware had been tidily set up on the table, but the meal itself hadn't been brought in. As a rule, the meal doesn't start until the man at the head of the table has taken his seat. So, as long as grandfather, the highest ranked, didn't come in, lunch would be indefinitely on hold. I don't like this ranking shit. What the hell is that? Not even the appetizers would come in. What? In other words, this silence in the dining hall was the sound of our parents as they withstood their hunger. And waited on tenterhooks for grandfather to come. Except the grandfather I remembered always showed up at the right time when we ate together like this. He wouldn't ever have been so late as to have everyone else waiting on him.
遅えな、じいさま。俺の記憶じゃ時間に厳格な人だったと思うんだけどな。
まあ6年前はそうだったかもな。最近はそうでもねえよ。というかもう自分の世界オンリーって感じで会食にも顔を出さねえぜ。さすがに今日くらいは足並みを揃えてくれるって思ってたんだけどな。まあ私は来ない方が気楽で嬉しいけどよ。
ジェシカ。
Uh-oh. After being scolded by her mother, Jessica faced the other way, sticking her tongue out. No way around it. Nothing to do but wait for the host to arrive. When I glanced at 12 o'clock, I saw that it was almost 20 minutes past 12. Wait, oh my god. When I glanced at the clock, I saw that it was almost 20 minutes past 12. Is that it? Oh no, okay. The aged master of the Ushiromiya head house, Ushiromiya Ginzo. Oh shit. And another Beatrice photo behind him. Let me look at the background. There's a lot of bottles, a lot of books. Is that like a stone with like carved in the stone, with writing carved in the stone? He was there in his study. The clock showed noon, but he didn't even attempt to get up. With reading glasses on his face, he stacked up old-fashioned books with elaborately designed bindings, one on top of another beside him, immersing himself in the reading. It definitely didn't look like it was for his leisure. On the contrary, he exuded impatience, crisis, as though every minute, every second were precious, which is. The sealed room was dense with dancing dust particles, and the air stagnated with a mix of smells of various elixirs, each giving off its own suspicious stench. So he has a lot of shit going on. They were somehow sweet and heavy. For anyone with a good nose, the first thing they do after entering would be to open a window and ventilate the room. The knocking against the study door had been going on for a while now. Yes, I've noticed every time I click, I hear knocking. A voice calling father, sometimes mingled with the knocks. As Ginzo heaved a deep sigh, he snapped shut the old book he had in his hands and slammed it on the table. Then he yelled at Kraus, who was continuing to knock at the door.
Yakamoshi! その音を止めぬか愚か者！叩けば扉は開かれると誰が教えた？そのバカ者は貼り付けにしたぞ。お前もそうされたいのか？
お父さん、年に一度の親族会議の日ではありませんか。皆下に集まっています。どうかおいでください。
Kraus called out to his father through the door. Ginzo always shuts himself up in the study and hated letting even his family into the room. For that reasons, Kraus had no choice but to call out thus from the corridor. Call out thus.
私にかがうでない。皆とは何か、私をここから引きずり出そうとする者どもなのか？ならば殺してしまい！バラバラにして薪にして魔女の炉にくべてしまい。その炉には鍋をかけて苦いおもぎを煮るがいい。黙示録の煮汁はそれでも私をここから連れ出そうとするバカ者どもに飲ませてやれ。残りは酒につけるのだ。ああ、源氏はどこだ？源氏を呼べ。苦害の麻痺を用意させろ。
Oh, I knew it was that. Oh,
緑の妖精のささやきが届かぬ。
The whispering of the green fairy reaches me no longer. What does that mean?
ああ、源氏はどこだ？源氏を呼べ。
Oh my god. Before the door, Kraus, Nanjo, and Genji kept waiting for the master of the house, who would not come out. Oh, so this is Kraus. Wait a minute. Something tells me this motherfucker is not Japanese. Is this even the son of Ginzo?
すっかり嫌われてしまったようだ。もう私の声では何も届かんよ。
Kraus shrugged as though saying, "It's no use," and smiled bitterly. He himself hadn't believed for a moment that his father would answer his calls. However, as it was the duty of the eldest son, he had formally made the request.
金蔵さん、あんたの顔を見に、息子や娘や孫たちが来てるんじゃないか。
I feel bad for this doctor, man.
ちょっと顔を見せてやったらどうだね。うるさい、黙れ。私に意見するというか何条。貴様など呼んではおらぬ。私は源氏を呼べと言ったのだ。さあ急げ、すぐに呼べ。 時間は常に有限だ。人たちはすでにラッパを構えているぞ。なぜにそれがわからぬか、愚かな羊どもめ。
Why do I feel like he's probably talking about something that I should I should obviously he's talking about something that I probably do not know what it means at this moment. The apostles are readying their trumpets. Why do you not understand this, you foolish sheep? Kinzo slammed the old heavy book on the table over and over. God, he must be so fucking full of rage. The racket obviously indicated his highest displeasure. Ginzo put his spectacles down and flew up from his chair. He spread his arms wide open, as if to sing to a packed opera house, as if appealing to someone, and yelled.
なぜだ。なぜにいつも私には邪魔が入るのか。すべてを捨てよう。すべてを捧げよう。その見返りに私は一つしか求めないというのに。ああ、ベアトリーチェ。お前の微笑みをもう一度見られるならば、私は世界中から美少を奪い取り、すべてをお前に捧げよう。
What the hell is up with this bitch? Like, why is he so obsessed with her?
おお、イナゴの軍団長たちよ。世界中から美少を刈り取り収穫せ。
I don't know what the hell is up with this guy.
すべてが汚らわしい。すべてが煩わしい。なぜこの貴重な一日に私は邪魔を受けねばならぬのか。源氏を呼べ。
何を怒鳴ってるのかもさっぱりだな。もう頭がどうにかなっているのだろう。
No, he obviously wants Genji here.
クラウスさん、実のお父さんにそりゃあんまりじゃないかね。
To your bro. Oh, so he is his biological father. Okay. Well, it would make sense. I mean, Jessica's blonde. Her mother isn't.
親父はすでに死んでいる。ここにいるのは親父だったものの幻さ。
Oh.
いずれにせよ本人にここを出る意志がない以上どうにもならんね。
金蔵さん。
Choking coughs continue to pour from the study.
私は下に戻る。ゴーダの自慢のランチをこれ以上無駄に冷ましてしまうことはない。親類たちにとって当家での数少ない楽しみだろうからな。
Kraus spun on his heels. He looked at his wristwatch, mumbling and acting as though he had wasted time doing something he knew would be in vain.
源氏さん、親父殿がお呼びだ。相手を頼む。
Oh, fucking finally.
かしこまりました。
南條先生、食事に行きましょう。いつまでもここにいると、この甘い匂いで味覚までおかしくなってしまう。
Yeah, maybe something's up with that absinthe thing he's drinking. Obviously, right, there has to be some significance to it. Without waiting for Nanjo, Kraus went downstairs. Genji urged Nanjo to go and eat. Nanjo looked first to Kraus's back as he disappeared down the stairs, then to the study door, and he let out a deep sigh.
すまんが源氏さん、頼みます。
はい、お任せください。
お酒はなるべく与えないように。あれは常習性が強すぎる。
Speaking of alcohol, I'm gonna drink some tonight.
源氏はまだか。何者が源氏を阻んでいるというのか。
Oh my god.
源氏はどこだ。源氏を呼べ。
He really loves Genji.
さあ、ここは。
すみませんな。
Nanjo gave a small duck of his head and descended the stairs. Genji saw him off and knocked at the study door.
親方様、源氏でございます。
源氏か。 何故私をこれほどに待たすのか。そこには誰もおるまいな。
はい、私だけでございます。
Ginzo returned to his seat in the study and pressed an old-fashioned switch on the table. Oh, what? So this house, I'm guessing if he did this to this door, I'm guessing the entire house is like bugged out. Like he has like hidden compartments. Like he probably pulls like in a cartoon, he pulls a fucking a book and that shit it opens the door. After a small delay, the heavy sound of the door unlocking could be heard. Ginzo believed that his family might try to break into his study. Why does he hate his family so much? Perhaps someone once opened the window for some air and scattered some important documents or something. And that had made him extremely upset. Well, yeah, I would assume so. He seems very emotional. Now, Ginzo had placed a secure lock in his room, making it so that without his permission, nobody could enter, and locking himself in the dungeon he himself created. Genji, who he trusted the most, was relatively free to enter the room, but even that was not absolute. If Ginzo was in a bad mood, even he wouldn't be able to enter. Anyone else would be limited to holding a conversation through the door, not even seeing his face. And most of the time, they wouldn't even get a real conversation. Yeah, he'd just scream at him, right? However, that didn't pose any practical problems to the family. Particular problems, I mean? That was because they had no reason to go out of their way to interfere with the retirement of the cantankerous and aged head. The fact that he was completely immersed in his odd research and always locked up in his hideaway was something of a benefit. They made the most of his refusal to leave the study, entrusting him to the hands of the servants, while they themselves kept their distance.
元気、いつものやつを頼む。私は忙しい。
はい。
Genji headed to a corner of the study. There, suspicious-looking bottles boasting venomous colors were on display. They were actually liquor, but considering that they were placed in this shady-looking room, you could almost suspect they might be ghastly poisons. Oh, I got it right the first time. I don't know why I had to remember it. The inside of the study was filled with a mountainous. Why? I swear to God, I'm good at reading. The inside of the study was filled with a mountainous library of outlandish books that Ginzo had amassed. Oh, is this the bottles we're talking about? There were bizarre old books, some banned, and each and every one of them either forbidden, cursed, or sealed. Of course, if one were to actually call them old books, Ginzo would fly into a rage and say something like this: call them grimoires. There were candles which had melted in a suspicious-looking fashion and taken on peculiar forms, and all manner of other strange objects, probably having something to do with black magic. I don't see any candles. The constellations covering the celestial globe would have caused anyone who knew the night sky well to raise an eyebrow. The illustrations inscribed in old books, haphazardly left open, ranged from the religious and mystical to the demonic and grotesque, as well as bizarre diagrams of various magic circles. And above all, the sweet poisonous smell that filled the room, which to those entering for the first time would surely be a profound assault on their sense of profound assault on their sense of sight, smell, and all their other senses, making them lose their grip on reality. Inside that study, Genji, with his well-trained hand, prepared Ginzo's usual drink. If you didn't know that the ghastly dark green liquid that filled the complexly designed bottle of liquor, you certainly wouldn't want to put it in your mouth. If you didn't know that, whatever. He poured a small quantity of the spirit into the glass, placed a cube of sugar in a strangely shaped spoon, and then poured water from a pitcher over it. Strangely, when the colorless water was poured into it, the dark green liquid turned a cloudy white. It created this strange visual illusion that the water had caused a chemical reaction, which made it all the more difficult to perceive the concoction as liquor. What the hell is going on here? To this, he added an original flavoring that Ginzo liked, and fine-tuned the taste. There was no recipe. Its success was measured only by Ginzo's mood swing. Its success was only measured by Ginzo's mood swing when he drank it, and he had learned how to make it only after many decades. Genji placed the glass on a tray and made his way over to Ginzo. Ginzo was now gazing out the window.
どうぞ、親方様。
ああ、すまん。
Ginzo had regained his composure, so much so that he was now unrecognizable as the man who had been shouting, screaming, and yelling just moments before. Also, this is the witch hunt, whatever the hell I forgot. Witch hunt translation, I think. In that man's back dwelt a dignity and intelligence made plain simply by how he tilted his glass and gazed down at the scenery beyond the window. Genji, in order to allow Ginzo to set down his glass anytime, motionlessly waited behind and to his left, as though he were a living sideboard, a stand. Star Platinum. As he did, Ginzo stuck out just the glass, his gaze still directed at the world outside the window. I don't know why, but I've been lightheaded since I started reading. There was just a mouthful remaining. It was not a gesture intended to sit it upon the tray. It was not a gesture intended to sit it upon the tray, as Genji expected, but was a motion to hand the glass over to Genji. Oh, what?
我が友よ。
もったいないお言葉です。
私とお前の中に儀礼はいらぬ。飲め、友よ。
いただきます。
Genji respectfully received the glass and inclined it a little to taste its contents. Then he downed it in one gulp.
お前が作るのを真似ているのだがどうにも同じ味が出ぬ。お前が作る方がうまい。
ありがとうございます。親方様のご指導の賜物です。
Ginzo smiled at his loyal subject who refused to put aside rank even when asked to. However, he was not making fun of him. It was relaxed, like a smile at a close friend's unbridled bad habit.
互いにおいたな。年を数えることも忘れてすでに久しい。
今日まで過ごすことをお許しいただけたのも、すべて親方様のおかげでございます。
Ginzo gave a thin smile, as if to say he didn't need compliments.
今日まで本当によく私に仕えてくれた。息子たちは誰もが私を変人呼ばわりした。大勢いた使用人も皆私を恐れてやめていった。お前だけが今でも私に仕えてくれる。
もったいないお言葉です。
私の余命もそう長くはあるまい。
Why? What's going on?
息子たちは私の遺産がいつ転がり込んでくるかをうろうろ待つハゲタカばかりだ。
Does he really? Well, I guess he really does think that. But why does he feel that way? Is there a reason?
クラウスの愚か者は金を湯水のように使い、1枚の金貨を売るのに2枚の金貨を捨てておる。それで金を稼げたなどと妄言を。エヴァは金の亡者だ。あやつは私を鶏か何かだと思っておる。死んだらガラにして出汁まで取る気だ。
Oh my god.
ルドルフの間抜けは女遊びばかり。ローザはどこの馬の骨ともわからん男の赤ん坊など産みおって、ジェシカは無能で無学だ。ジョージには男としての器がない。バトラーは後ろ宮家の栄誉を自ら捨ておった愚か者だ。
Oh yes, because he lived with
マリアなど見るのも汚らわしい。
Oh my god, no, don't say that about Maria. Okay, now he's way off base, man. He's just talking shit about his entire bloodline.
なぜだ、なぜに後ろ宮の血はこうも無
Oh
能な
my
のか。
god. Listen, dude.
私の築き上げた栄光を受け継ぐにふさわしい者はおらんのか。
Well, if you really feel that way, hey, he's right in front of you.
ああ、分かっておるとも。これがベアトリーチェの呪いであることも分かっておる。黄金の魔女め、それが私への復讐のつもりか。憎みたくば憎むがよい。逃げたければ逃げるがよい。逃がさぬ、逃がさぬ、逃がさぬ、逃がさぬわ。お前は私のものだ。
God, what did she do to him to make him this obsessed?
常に私の腕の中でなくてはならん。私の生涯のすべてなのだ。我が鳥かごにて永遠に私だけにささやき続けるのだ。
Okay, every time I see Kinzo, he's either bitching about his family, obsessed with this woman Beatrice, drinking himself to death, or screaming at somebody.
ベアトリーチェ、なぜに微笑み返してはくれぬ。
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the noise he made when he was with Beatrice.
ベアトリーチェ
Man, after howling, Kinzo choked once again. Genji set the tray and the glass down and patted his master's back. Genji's facial expression did not change. It was always like this.
すまぬ我が友よ。
After his almost deranged outburst of the past few minutes settled down, Kinzo regained his composure once more. The way his attitude changed was like seeing two different people, a wild Kinzo and a composed Kinzo, living together inside one body. I think they call that, what is that thing called? Bipolar?
故に私は決心した。このままぼやききった余生を怠慢に過ごすことなどもはや耐えられはせん。この身に最後にとするコインがあるならば、それを悪魔たちのルーレットに託してみたい。
Demon's Roulette.
魔法の力はいつもかけるリスクで決まる。
Wait, the power of magic is always determined by the risk staked upon it.
日本古来の呪術である牛の国参りがそうであろう。
And okay, hold on, let me take a picture of this because I'm gonna look this up in a little bit because this might mean something. Shrine at the hour of the ox in an ancient Japanese sorcery. Hold on, okay. Bop, there we go.
7日間儀式を目撃されてはならないというリスクを支払うからこそ魔力が宿る。
The magic power dwells in incurring the risk that it will be seen before 7 days pass.
困難なリスクが生じれば生じるほどに魔力は強く生じるのだ。神話に登場する数々の奇跡は天文学的リスクに奇跡的な低確率を得て成就した驚愕すべき魔力の結晶なのだと言える。
Wait, I'm looking at crystals right here, and that shit is reminding me a lot of superscription of data. Higurashi, I mean. All the various miracles that appear in myth can be called crystals of astonishing magic power obtained through miraculously low probabilities and astronomical risks.
モーゼが海を割ったのは神の奇跡ではない。蹂躙の計りに乗せられ軍勢によって航海に追い詰められた絶体絶命のリスクが奇跡の魔力を生んだのだ。同じことが同じ規模で繰り返されようとも再び海が割れることはないだろう。なぜならモーゼは力ある者たちのルーレットのアソーギナユタをかけたよりも多く存在する目の中に一つだけ刻まれた奇跡を見事引き寄せることができたからだ。
That is because Moses managed to spectacularly draw out the single miracle carved in the roulette of those in power, which has more pockets than Asogi and Nayuta.
その天文学的確率に勝利できる力。そう、奇跡をつかみ取る運気はすなわち魔力なのだ。
Magical power is, in other words, having the luck to grasp miracles.
強大な魔力を得るためには絶望的なリスクを背負わねばならぬ。
To obtain great magical power, one must bear a risk that is hopelessly great.
魔力もたぬ者はそれを賭けでなく自暴自棄と呼ぼう。しかし真に魔力ある者はその奇跡をつかみ取り神秘を成就させるのだ。もしも私にその魔力があるならば私はその奇跡をつかみ取るだろう。生涯を費やした願いを実現できるだろう。
Hold on, let me read this. However, those who truly do possess magical power can grasp hold of that miracle and make the enigma come into being. And if that power exists within me, I will seize that miracle. I will be able to make the wish I devoted my life towards come true. Ginzo looked up to the sky outside the window. He spread his arms as if appealing to someone up in the sky.
もし私にその奇跡を手にする資格があったなら、おー、ベアトリーチェ、ベアトリーチェ、お前の愛くるしい笑顔をもう一度だけ見せてくれ。どれほどの月日を経ようともお前の面影が消えることはない。ただお前の美少が見たい、それだけだ。お前から授かったものを全て返そう。あの日からの栄光を全てお前に返そう。富も名誉も黄金もいらぬ。
No matter how much time passes, your face does not vanish. I just want to see your smile, that's all. I'll return everything you granted me. I'll return all the glory I've gained since that day. I don't need fortune, prestige, gold. Also, he got rich because of Beatrice?
お前に授かった全てを返
Because
そ
of,
う。
what was it, miracles or whatever the fuck he was just talking about?
私はただお前の美少が見たいだけなのだ。五章だ、ベアトリーチェ。
His nonsensical yells segged into a scream, and then into a wail. Ginzo crumpled onto the floor and crawled at it with both hands. Genji had no choice but to wordlessly watch over his master's lament.
やあ諸君、当主様は具合が優れられないとのことだ。せっかくこうして1年ぶりの会合に集まってくれた諸君と昼食を共にできないことを非常に残念にしておられた。ゴーダ、ランチを始めてくれ。
かしこまりました。それでは本日の昼食を始めさせていただきます。
南條先生、そんなにお父様のお具合は悪いの？せめて顔くらい見せてくれてもいいわよね。
体調というよりは機嫌ですな。こればかりはつける薬がありませんので。
Right.
おいおい、機嫌ってまたかよ。そりゃないぜ。こちとら秋のクソ忙しい時期にスケジュール都合してご機嫌伺いに来てるんだ。
Well, let me read this. Oh, come on, for God's sake. Mood again? We come to hear how he's doing, making time in our schedules in this damn busy season of autumn.
それはよ。
よかったじゃないか、ルドルフ。ご機嫌は伺えたんだ。それとも不機嫌な親父殿を私に代わりお前が説得して連れてきてくれるのかね。
まさかな。
Rudolph shrugged. Apparently, even though Rudolph seemed to resent the way his father did whatever he pleased, he'd rather avoid seeing his face if he could help it.
夕食までにはその機嫌治りそうなの？クラウス兄さん。
そんなことは知らんよ。親父殿に直接聞いてみるといい。もっとも声をかけない方が機嫌の治りは早いと思う。
源氏さんだけだよ。じい様の機嫌を直せるのは。情けないぜ。自分の親の機嫌を使用人に直させるんだからよ。
Pretty damn pathetic when you have to have a servant to deal with your own parents' bad mood.
ジェシカ。
Uh-oh.
余計なことは言わなくていい。
She'd planned for her complaint to be heard only by her cousins, but it had reached even Krause's ears. Scolded, Jessica scowled and turned away, sulking.
機嫌がうんぬんってことは病状はそんな悪くないんじゃねえの？
Oh yeah, he got a lot of energy in him, that's for sure.
元気がないってんならともかく機嫌が悪いってのは少なくとも気はしっかりしてる証拠だぜ。
Oh yeah.
おじい様は特に強い気力をお持ちだからね。でも体が必ずしもそれに伴えるとは限らないよ。去年からずっと余命3ヶ月って言われ続け
Since
て。
last year, they keep saying yes 3 years. So this motherfucker, he can drop dead at any second. He could be dead right now. We don't even fucking know.
最初の診断が正しいなら、おじい様は気力だけで流られてるってことになる。
Wow. Was
気
he
遣ってあげ
guts?
ないといけないよ。
I am concerned for him. Lunch started with the family's heads, seats still empty. The man who should have been sitting there was already old, and the brilliant glory, which had rebuilt the Ushiromiya family in a single lifetime, was slowly being forgotten. Nobody seemed to feel uncomfortable when the meal began with that seat still empty. I wonder... Umineko no nakokoro ni. Wow. I wonder if we're gonna be able to see the life of Nanjo. Okay, I'm gonna end it right there. As I was saying, I love this noise. You can hear the ocean, the waves swaying. You can imagine the beach. The Umineko. Naku-ing. Naku means to cry. You can hear the Umineko crying. The seagulls. Wow. Man, I can, oh god, I wish I could listen to this faster, but I only record these videos when I'm the only person in this house. Ginzo, I kind of hope we get to hear more about Ginzo's like past, maybe his childhood, I don't know, or how he brought this family to this point. They keep talking about Beatrice and her being a witch, and Ginzo keeps talking about if I can like repay you or if I can see you again. And he keeps like, again, he has like multiple drawings of her in the mansion. I'm assuming that he cut a deal with Beatrice, the witch. Go right here. And I'm assuming that that's how, again, they said he brought the family from nothing to where they are now in one lifetime. So I'm imagining he cut a deal with the witch. And that's why he keeps talking about her. He keeps bringing her up. Maybe through this deal, because in the prologue it said that he's going to, when he dies, nobody will remember him, I think. Something along those lines. Maybe that's part of the deal. I'm not really sure. He keeps wanting to see her again. I wonder what that's supposed to mean. Also, in the prologue, I looked this over, but when I was playing, again, I'm in the game right now. And I had to start from the beginning up until where I left off. And in doing that, I had to go through the prologue again, obviously. And reading the prologue again, I noticed something that said there was a sweet little odor in the room. And I went back and I read some of the comments, right? And I guess they weren't talking about like the absinthe that he drinks. I guess that's supposed to be a different scent. One thing I do know is that sometimes when a body, again, a corpse of a human, like a dead body is rotting, or if it's been dead for a good amount of time, it smells sweet. So I'm wondering, maybe there's a dead person in that room. We don't know who it is. I don't know. Either way, there's something going. Either way, I'm already enjoying this. Look at me. I'm over here thinking and theorizing already. Man, I'm loving this. Let me go back and look exactly. What was it? Episode 1, Episode 1, Legend of the Golden Witch. It doesn't. I guess it's gonna be chapter 4. I guess I'm gonna call it. Either way, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on Rondo. Rondo. I'll see you next time on Umineko no Naku Koroni. Rondo of the Witch and Reasoning. Is my Japanese okay?